Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, we've been in a situation where for the last month or so the rivers have been up and flooded and racing through. Came down last night, had a quick look at the tidal river here, and the tide was high and it was sort of going through quite quickly. I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And to be honest, I thought it was going to be horrible, chocolate coloured and, just not unfishable, but difficult. Anyway, I've arrived here this morning and I had a look at this swim, and this is just low tide, by the way, as you can probably see from all the rocks down there. And it's not chocolate coloured, it's not clear, obviously, it's just finding down, and that's often quite a good time to catch carp. Now, you probably see I've got trees all around me. You probably can't see too high up there, but I've got a canopy just up here and I've just got a little slot to get the rod through. And if I sort of strike wrongly down this way, I'm going to end up catching these trees. But what I'm going to do today, I just felt like having a bit of enjoyment. So I'm going to fish with a stick float, which is actually quite a big stick float. This is 12 number 4s or 3 AAs, thereabouts. And I'm fishing at the moment. This is how it came off the rod. It was already set up. I've got a bulk of shot down here, as you can see. These are BBs. And I've got a couple of number 6s down, 2A, size 12, B911 hook. Now, I have fished this swim once before, and I lost loads of tackle by casting out at about sort of 11 to 13 metres. And the problem with that was that, again, if you look at these rocks down here, it looks like the authorities have come along and dumped a load of rock all along that edge in order to stop bankside erosion, which is fine, except that you lose lots and lots of tackle. So, as I say, the plan today then, if I get this up for you, I'm going to fish pretty much just in front of me. You can see how it goes down at this point, just where I'm sitting, and I think it's actually quite flat, but I'm just going to literally throw this in front of me and just see what we've got. Obviously this is, the tide, by the way, is going to be 2 metres today, so by the end I should be almost around the feet of my box. Just down there I've got 6 inches. If I go a bit further, 18 inches maybe. Yeah, now it's starting to go a bit deeper. I'll just go a little bit further. And, well, that's way over 4 feet just there. So there's a big ledge that just goes off at that point there, just by the end of these trees. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to just see where I'm at, make sure I've got no real snags. And that's about okay. I'm actually going to go with this depth. I may need to change it, I may not. But eventually the plan is that as the tide comes in, I'll be fishing down here where it's at the moment either mud or 2 inches deep. Well, that's the plan anyway. Let's give it a try, see what happens. It's a nice day, so I'm just going to enjoy it regardless. I'm going to fish with a couple of pieces of sweet corn on the hook, as usual. I've got other baits, change baits. I've got some smelly baits, and I've got some prawns. I've got bread, but basically, first of all, I'm just going to chuck this in round about there and just see how it trots through. As I say, you've got these rocks down here and I've lost a lot of tackle in these before. Feeders, obviously, but it's actually dragging on the bottom now. A little bit shallower. Now, this is the thing with when you're plumbing up, especially on a river like this. You may think you're right, but you may not be. So do what I'm doing. Just cast it in and then test it by going through. You'll find a natural place where you're happy with it and it's comfortable to fish. Now that's going through, just touching bottom, and if I just do that now, I can probably just pull it away from any little rocks it's dragging over. There's mud down there as well, so I'm hoping that the carp are going to turn up. Just a bit more of a thing there. The problem with the flood is, of course, that you could get all sorts of trees and things in your swim, and I've had that before where you've literally had to move. Maybe just a fraction shallower for there. So just trot it down a couple of times first of all and have a look, see how you go. As the tide comes in, I will have to go probably deeper or come further in, but I'll work that out as we go. So just trot that through, just touching bottom there again. Yep. Going through okay at that point. This is where it snagged up last time particularly badly. Still just catching slightly, but I think we're okay. And I will be holding back and laying on and doing all sorts of things later on, but just let's see how we go first of all. Right, I think that'll do. So, literally, first cast. I'm going to allow it to go down a little bit. I don't want to be catching fish right in front of me because that's just going to spook everything. I'll try and catch somewhere just under that branch there, but I've got to be careful how I strike. Tide's already starting to move quite quickly. You may be able to see that on the float here. There will be a little bit of messing around while I just sort myself out first of all, but then I'll work out where to put the bait in, because obviously we're now flowing quite rapidly and bait takes time to sink. I've mentioned this before. The pellets I'm going to use take about 3 seconds per foot, and if I've got sort of 3 foot or so, you're looking at 9 seconds. So if I put this in sort of there and then count to 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I put the bait in there at about a metre or so further down is where it's roughly going to hit the bottom. Sweet corn takes 5 seconds, so I need to put that in further up so that that hits in about the same place. And to be honest, I think I'm going to sort of feed so it goes to about there where the float is now. That looks quite nice. Okay, bait wise, as I say, I've got sweet corn. I've got these pellets, which are chicken layer pellets. I buy them in bulk, and all I've done is I've taken some trout pellet powder. I wetted these down first of all, drained the water off, threw some powder on, gave it a good shake, and you can see how they've turned out. Bit of an experiment this. I normally use turmeric, as you know, but at the moment we're going to go with that and see how we go. Right, let's get some bait in. I'm actually going to move the bait around to the other side, obviously, because I'll need to feed with my right hand, but this was just to show you. Okay, let's get the rig in and start feeding around about there. And a little bit further up for the sweet corn, and see how we go. Might take a little bit of time, but I like trotting down the river, and it's going to go quickly. Right, so the bait should be landing around about under that tree there now, and hopefully fairly soon we'll be starting to see fish down there too. So it's actually just trotting down quite nicely now. It's only about 5 or 10 minutes in, and I'm just trotting down. It is sort of tripping on the bottom, but it's not stopping by, it's not getting caught on major obstructions. And as you can see, normally you'd use your finger to trap the line and allow it out, but I'm struggling a little bit with that today because of the arthritis. So I'm using this other method, which is to use your hand. Then if you get a bite, bail arm just goes across and you can strike. That's a way. As I say, the best way though is to just use your finger to control the line, and then you can do that to strike. However, as we get older, things don't work so well anymore, so you have to, as they say, work smart rather than work hard. Hoping to get about within the first hour, but it often takes a little bit of time for the fish to come on, and I'll just keep feeding small amounts of bait just to get them going. Oh, so far I haven't actually got caught up on the bottom too much. It's just tripping through, drags under a little bit, but you expect that. Yeah, I'm thinking that by the time the tides come in a little bit more and I can fish a bit closer in down under me, I can then hold back a little bit easier. I'll probably go a bit deeper to do that as well, and it may be that they just require a still bait today, or they just might not be there yet. Just had my first little pluck there as I was holding back, and let it roll through just a little bit. Just went like that. So there's obviously something down there. The river's, I've only been here half an hour or so, and the river's already risen probably about a foot, 30 centimetres, so I may have to go slightly deeper soon. But it does mean that I can fish pretty much off the end of my rod top and get plenty of control now. I'm just going to ease it down gently. Still touching the bottom there, look. Oh. Whoa. I thought I was touching the bottom. Ah, dearie me. Well, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. But I have good fun doing it. Oh, it's a good job I got £6 line on it. Oh, excuse my French, it's come off. I don't believe that. Oh, I do, actually, I do. Oh well, get some bait on and do it again. Ooh, yes. That's hugging the bottom. Where is he? Whoa! He didn't take off at first like the other one, but he's going for it now. Whew. River's coming up nicely on the tide now. Quite comfortable so far. Oh. Right, I don't think he's finished yet, but you never know. Try not to bang into the camcorder with the landing net. Ooh. I love catching these carp out of this river. Right, is he going to go for it? Ah, yes, he went straight into the net. Oof. Well, 1-1 by the look of things. And he's a good fish. Probably when he stops jumping, I'd say about £8 or so. Great big mouth on him. Let's put this in the water and I'll see if I can show you him. And a long fish, and that's him. Well, 1-1. Well, I enjoyed that one, and hopefully there's a few more going to be down there. The water's coming in really nicely now, so a bit of bait. I'm feeding gradually closer in so I can fish off the end of my rod top. That's where I could see where the rocks were. They weren't too bad just along there. It's just slowing down nicely there. Catching on the bottom a little, but we're dragging through slowly. So the bait is just tripping along the bottom a little bit slower than the current. Catching from time to time, look. It's nice simple fishing though, isn't it? Oops. I was trying to mess around with the camera and the float went under and oh, this thing's under the tree. Oh well. Things I have to do for you guys. I'm hoping I got the bite on that camera down there, which is what I was actually trying to do there. Right. Just take this down a fraction. Yeah, decent fish. Tide's coming in nicely now. Been here about an hour, I suppose. At least I can get the landing net in the water without having to stretch right down. He's not got the explosive power, but he's dogged, this guy. At least he's staying out of the downstream area now, so hopefully I'm not spooking any others too much. Oh, no, get out of there, get out, get out, get out. Get out, I spoke too soon. Come on, fish. I'm catching up a tree there. Oh yeah, he's a good one. Let's just see if we can get him in head first. As usual, he turns around and torpedoes out. Come on, fish. Got you that time. Whew. Right. 2 to me. Yeah, probably about the same size again, I suppose. Glad I got this longer net now. And, oops, there he is, look. Another nice little fish. Excellent. Just keep the bait going in as we're just rebaiting a hook. A biggish fish, so they need plenty of bait. I'm just using 2 bits of corn at the moment. This hook seems to be fine, so don't need to go to anything bigger or to any kind of hair rig or anything like that. Put sort of 3 or 4 or 5 bits of corn on. And this is just a nice gentle trot down. Tides, yeah, coming surprisingly high already. As I say, today is actually a high tide. It's a 2 metre tide. Normally it's about, I don't know, 1.5, 1.6. So you've got about that much extra on top of normal today, so see how we go. Still a little bit of flood water on the thing. Just bear in mind that this isn't stick float fishing for roach, so my feeding pattern isn't anything like that. If you're fishing for roach, you're going to be putting bait in small amounts, probably every chuck down, sometimes even twice in every trot. But for the carp here, they're not going to come up in the water and intercept it like roach do, so I'll chub, of course. So all I need to do is make sure I've got a bit of bait on the bottom in the area where I'm fishing, and that means I can feed a little bit less regularly. It's not like a commercial where they'll come up in the water particularly. Well, not in the same way as they do in a commercial anyway. Oh, I think I've got a bite. Yep. Typical. Just get your sandwiches out. I'm not sure what this is. Could be an eel. And as you know, I hate eels. Feels very much like an eel. Yeah, it's an eel. There. Horrible, 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 horrible. I've got an airborne eel, in fact. Come on, eel. God, dear, oh dear. Get in there. There we go. Oof. I bet I don't get my hook back. Let's have a look. No, I was right. I'm not getting my hook back. Swallowed it. And no, I'm not picking it up to show you. Yeah. Now I lost my scissors. Keep still, fish. The problem with these is that they've got sort of a rasping pad at the top of their mouth, and you end up, even if you do get your hook back, even if you do get your hook back with line which has been abraded and which you don't want to use anymore. Oh well, I think I'll eat my sandwich before I go back in. You can tell it's the end of the flood. The actual water is now getting very, very brown as the tide comes in. Hopefully we'll still keep catching fish, but don't know how we'll go. Been here about an hour and a half, I suppose, all told, and the tide is now not that far below my feet. As I said, it's a higher tide today, and with the flood, not quite sure where it's going to get to. Still, what's the worst that can happen? I'll just move further back up the bank. The bites seem to have stopped now since this horrible murky water came in, so I'm going to first of all go about 6 inches deeper. I'm going to try and slow it down even more than I have been. See how that goes. Just ease it through, but with these rocks that's easier said than done sometimes. Give it a go though. I've just realised that the current just under my rod tip is actually a lot slower, probably as you'd expect, but just checking the depth now, and I'm probably about a float over depth at that point. Look, maybe not quite there, but then if I come in to right underneath my rod top there, remember this bit was dry when I started, I'm probably float and a half over depth at that point there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try fishing closer in still, and just put this down in front of me then, just where it's literally a lot quieter. Right, so at that point it's just starting to slope off, and literally right off the end of my rod top I've got, oh I don't know, I suppose that's 3 feet of water, and that's plenty. So we'll try and take it down the inside a bit and see what happens there. I'm literally just going to plonk it just to my right at 1 rod length out. Sort of there. Right, by the time that gets down to there, we should be in amongst all the bait. And I'm tripping bottom. You see that's just going through really slowly and nicely now, look. Thumb's giving me a bit of grief this afternoon, or sorry, this morning still. Not quite 12 yet. Just touching bottom. Some bait in there. You'll notice I'm throwing it further down than where the float is at the moment, and that's because that's where I want to be catching and not right under my rod tip here, because if I do catch down there I'm liable to spook everything as I'm fighting it down in front of me. So let's just allow it to go down a little bit. Just close the bail arm. I'm just going to hold it there for a minute. So just keep trying different things until something works. Nice slow current going through here now, but out there it's racing through. It's just the colour's chocolate and horrible. Well, that lifted and then dropped. There's something going on. Ugh. Panic. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Oh dear. Oh, I'm taking a split shot off now as well. Not quite sure how that came off, but better put another one back on again. But at least it was some sort of indication of a bite. As I say, I just hope it wasn't an eel. Is that a bite? Yeah. Oh, well, I think it's an eel. I'm pretty sure it's an eel. Kind of expected that really, didn't you, when you got meat on the hook? Yeah, bit me off, look. Well, forget that then, we'll go back to using sweet corn, I think. You can always tell when it's an eel. They fight differently to anything else because they can swim backwards. And if I'm honest, I'm glad that one came off. Right, let's get tackled up again. Go back to a... Actually, we won't do a bit of corn this time. What we'll do this time is we'll try maybe a bit of paste. Mind you, that's fish meal anyway, so... No, we'll go back to corn. GoPro, start recording. Whoa! I was literally holding that back really hard there. Close in as well. The shots were actually on the bottom. And it went under nicely for it. Ah, gee whiz! Now what? Oh, yes. Well, that's ruined the swim, hasn't it? Where is he? Oh, he's definitely not done yet, is he, obviously? Right underneath me, but he's definitely not going to give up for a minute or two. You watch. If I even try and put the landing net out, that's when he'll disappear. Well, at least I got a bite down there now. Well, if this is it, it's a fairly poor fight from the fish in here, apart from that initial thing. Whoops. Right, come on fish. Oof, no, he woke up then. He's just plodding around in front of me. Can't do much with him. At least I haven't got far to extend the landing net now. That tide's still coming in quite well. Come on fish. Told you he wasn't ready, didn't I? This time maybe? Yeah. Oof. Well, that's 3 anyway. He's actually not a bad fish. He's probably, oh, I don't know, 7 pounds or so. Not bad at all. Oops. Right, see if we can find the hook. Where are you, hook? He's actually swallowed it, but should be able to get to it easy enough. If he'd keep still. Now he's all tangled up around his fins. Do you know, having one of those days today. Keep still, will you? Let me get the hook out. What a performance. And that's just me. Right, okay, let's give you a quick look. Let's see where we're at. Oops, keep still, fish. There, finally, all that to show you that, but it was worth it. Well, that's it for another one then, folks. Haven't set the world alight with my catches today. Had a few fish, including an eel. Yuck, hate those things. Wasn't actually expecting much at all, to be honest, given that we're just at the end of the flood. Thought at first the water was pretty clear, but as soon as the tide started to come in, that changed everything, and it's now back to that horrible orangey, browny, yucky sort of a colour. But did catch a few fish, and that's the main thing. And I've been out for the day. It's been a nice day. I've enjoyed myself. And what more can you ask for, really? So I'm happy with that. I hope you are too. If you liked it, as always, click the button. If you want to subscribe, you can do that too. And until the next time, bye for now.